there was a great Canadian poet, Robert W. Service, whose most often theme was the gold rush in Alaska in the late 1890s. Kind of setting the scene for this next poem, he wrote one called The Spell of the Yukon. There's a verse in there that I think is just right for the next poem. There's the gold, and it's calling and calling. It's luring me on as of old. Yet it isn't the gold that I'm wanting so much as just finding the gold. There's a great big broad land way out yonder, and a forest where silence holds lease. It's the silence that fills me with wonder. It's the beauty that fills me with peace. And so the cremation of Sam McGee. There are strange tales told in the midnight gold by the men who moil for gold, and the Arctic trails have their secret tales that will make your blood run cold. The Arctic lights have seen strange sights, but the strangest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge when I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, and that Arctic cold would hold him like a spell. He'd often say in his homely way, I'd sooner live in hell. We were mushing our way one Christmas day over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold through our parka fold, it stung like a driven pail. If our eyes we closed, the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. 'Twas that very night, as we lay wrapped tight in our blankets beneath the snow, the dogs were fed and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe. He turned to me. Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low I couldn't say no, and he talked with a kind of a groan. It's this cussed cold. It's got right hold and I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Now it ain't being dead. It's the awful dread of an icy grave that pains. I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. He seemed so low I couldn't say no, so I swore I wouldn't fail. We started on at the crack of dawn. My, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on that sleigh and he raved all day about his home in Tennessee. And by nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. Now, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were mum, in my heart how I cursed that load. Day after day, that silent clay seemed to heavier grow. On I went. The dogs were spent. The grub was getting low. The trail was bad. I felt half mad, but I swore I wouldn't give in. I'd even sing to that horrible thing, and he seemed to hearken with a grin. Then we came to the marge of Lake Labarge. There an old derelict lay. She was jammed in the ice, and I saw in a trice was called the Alice May. I looked at it, thought a bit, looked at my frozen chum. Ha! Here, said I with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found was lying round, heaped the fuel higher. That furnace roared, the blazes soared, such a fire you seldom see. Well, I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal and stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I took a hike, 'cause I didn't like to hear him sizzle so, and that greasy smoke in an inky cloak streaked across the sky. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheek, and I don't know why. I'll never know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peek inside. It's time I looked, he should be cooked, and the door I opened wide, and there sat Sam, cool and calm in the midst of that furnace roar. He wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, please close that door. It's warm in here, and I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm.